This is a nuke ops round on the server Harmony aboard Orbital Prime. This is a strategy I have not seen, so we are covering it. They are at the VG-roid, somewhere deep in space. They are here to kill the Goliaths and possible Hive Lords, but the goal is overall the Goliaths. They obviously have perfect equipment to kill Goliaths, even in fair combat. Even in this situation, this Goliath's stuck, so there's nothing they can really suffer other than getting hit by the tentacles. It is dark too. But the reason why they are here to kill these Goliaths is they are planning on doing a zombie ops. So we're going to get zombie Goliaths. I'll talk with the light so you can actually see. They're just shooting mobs, and no, they don't take the time to go here and collect every single Goliath. I don't know if they clearly saw this room, but they probably realized that 4 Goliaths and a Basilisk probably going to stall the round too much, and they don't need to go that overboard. I think they collect 4 or 5 Goliaths total, and I think they end up getting one of these Hive Lords over here. But you don't need to see them shoot mindless mobs. That's just what they do. They get a few Goliaths and a Hive Lord. 30 minutes in, they are bringing the crate full of dead VG-roid mobs on them. They have an elite suit. Due to the fact that the zombie bundle costs as much TC as it does, their secondary goal, which honestly you could call a primary goal, is to get a lathe. Reason for that is getting a lathe is essentially infinite TC as long as you have steel. They can print out ammo for any of the guns they have for the free C20 that was on the base. It's been the best strategy for a while for just killing as many people as you can is to print infinite ammo. I mean, it's hard to beat infinite TC value. It takes some time disassembling through this reinforced wall on the Tesla containment. They use this, the fire axe is really easy to get through this iron rock out here. So they have broken into the Tesla containment. Oftentimes, people are not really going to be out here after it's set up. There's not too much of a reason to come out here other than basic maintenance, which is not very high maintenance. I mean, even at this point in the replay, most of the Tesla coils, some of them don't even have the damage sprite, and we're 32 minutes in. So you just don't come out here too much. It's a good place to enter. The other primary reason they're here, though, is to get a lathe. Engineering normally doesn't use their lathe nearly as often as someone like science or cargo, but not too far into the station, you actually do see quite a few people. And an unfortunate engineer is wandering into their death. Always feels cold. Might not be feeling so cold after they're literally set on fire, but they are the first to fall and are somewhat of a catalyst for the zombie virus. Interestingly, all these people next door, there are salvagers who can clearly hear this C4. There's cargo tech in here as well, and a bunch of people just kind of nearby. No one seemingly seemed to have heard that or thought too much about it. I mean, a few hitting sounds and screaming is a pretty common thing. The C4, definitely not as common. People are definitely... the theme here is friendship. The Nukies are definitely not discovered at this point. They have got their lathe to exactly where they want it, and they're going to end up bringing that back to the ship. I'll fast forward a little bit here. They spend some time debating on what to infect. They don't want to infect the dead zombie directly because that would instantly infect them. So they choose to infect the parrot. However, they beat the parrot with a fire axe, and the fire doesn't actually extinguish on the parrot before they just die. So they basically use 5 Romerall to kill a zombie. Thankfully, though, Operator Bravo didn't leave. They saw the unfortunate reality that parrots don't have a whole lot of health, and fire hurts. So they have to go back and find another pet. Again, they don't want to zombify an already dead thing, otherwise they're risking themselves dying. They take some time, scavenge through Atmos, and they find their next unfortunate catalyst for the zombie virus. They find Tropico. Tropico is a little bit tankier overall, and yeah, they probably are not going to, well, I know they don't use the fire axe on them, so this one works. They infect Tropico, the Tropico is already gasping to death, and then they beat him to death with their fist and a crowbar, rather than burning them to death. The Nukies take their retreat before Tropico zombifies, and they return back to their ship with the lathe to print out hundreds and hundreds of bullets. Not much to show there. I'll show them when they come back. But for now, Tropico has been infected, and within seconds, somebody takes over the ghost role of Tropico to spread the infection. Operator Bravo, again, being really smart here and not intentionally sticking around for too long to be spotted by the zombie. Very smart, very good. And at this point, the zombie virus has started. However, Goliaths on their own are still really tanky mobs, and but they're also really slow. So this is basically a bunch of living balls of flesh, unliving, undead? Security shows up really quickly before the Goliaths have even broke a single wall leading out of engineering. They realize that they have equipment not necessarily designed for this situation. They're still contained, so some of them go back to get lasers. However, the nukies, when they detonated that C4, blew up power to the station pretty widely. Also, I mean, you can see the C4 here separated the SMES banks in general. They are draining, so the station will run out of power. I don't know how intentional that was. I think they just wanted to not be stuck, but that is a side effect of this. A Borg is technically the first to fall. They are a Borg, though, so can't really zombify them. Something I didn't mention is that the AI did see that there are a bunch of zombie Goliaths, and they did see that there's Nukie, so that is why there is such a strong arm-up presence. However, I feel like zombified Goliaths is probably good enough of a reason to arm up the whole crew anyway, because how often do you see that? While the Goliaths fight their way out, the Nukies have printed off as much ammo as they saw fit. I'm not entirely sure what else they could have printed with that of an autolathe other than ammo, but hard to check inventories. They leave back at 40 minutes exactly, and meteors are coming, and anyone who's played Space Station since the meteor change feels that meteors really like targeting people, and in the darkness, you can see how close those meteors are, and they avoid a direct hit, and thankfully one of them is wearing an elite suit, but I think the meteors ignore explosive resistance. I'm not 100% sure. I've never really tested that, but they take a direct hit from a meteor, which slows them down a little bit. Now we look back at the Goliaths, and we see they have finally spread out, and a security officer overextended a little bit or got knocked out by a tentacle. I'm not entirely sure, but the virus has spread to at least one human being, one crew member. You know, I was saying that maybe the player zombies can't use the Goliath tentacles, but perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps it's still automatic. I don't know if they have any control over it, but those definitely look like player-controlled Goliaths, and their tentacles are definitely being used. Some of the zombified security members eating up several bullets. Many of the Goliaths have already fallen as well at this point, but they have certainly already started stressing out a ton of the station's weapons. A Goliath tentacle ran out and unfortunately took the janitor, poor Herb, was taken over through the tentacle. This is a player Goliath, right? And the tentacles either being used automatically or maybe they can use it. I don't know. Either way, the tentacles seem to be working, so maybe I'm wrong. But the zombie virus spreading out through this long hallway. Surprisingly, even though there's not a whole lot of flank routes for the zombies, they are spreading their infection pretty well, but the crew is very well armed and is mostly maintaining the individuals that fall. Why this is happening, the captain goes back to the bridge, and I'm not sure, they must have seen the Nukies at this point. It seems like they're going out to fight them alone. I'm not entirely sure why the captain was going this direction. Like, they were definitely visible from the window. Either way, they were definitely running from the zombies. The Nukies recalled the evac shuttle, so I think that's what brought the captain back to the bridge in the first place. But that's just really unfortunate in general for the captain. Even the PAI is surprised that the captain just kind of ran out of an airlock right at them. So they have the authentication disc. Person in an EVA suit with a Joys tries to get a few shots in, but 1v3 against Nukies with no armor. Not the greatest situation. They use a mini bomb to actually gib the Borg and the person that was there. I'd say that was a little overkill, but I think they just didn't want the Borg to be revived and the person happened to be there. But is there such thing as an overkill for Nukies? I don't really think so. Quick look back at the zombie virus. It is spread further. More people directly being infected. Yes, the zombification sound is really, really loud. Is that a scythe? There's a knife sticking out of that person's head. It's hard to even tell exactly who's zombified from this perspective. I mean, they must be zombified. Can't tell exactly, but the knife sticking out of their head's great. The crew is already decimated at this point. Several zombified, tons or hundreds of bullets probably at this point fired. The power grid is utterly screwed, and the Nukies have used zero equipment from their however many thousands of bullets they printed. So the Nukies are obviously in heavy favor to win this one, but anything can happen. I did not watch the whole ending. More mini-bombing the space things. The AI actually turned on the dangerous turret there, and they... maybe I shouldn't have spoke so soon. The AI actually managed to kill one of the Nukies. They replaced the laws with Artist, but I honestly don't know what Artist's laws are. Maybe it got replaced with a different law, but the law is... the upload is right there. I'm not entirely sure what the Artist laws are, or if that was, like, why the turrets were shooting them. I apparently, if you watched my video yesterday, I don't know anything about AI laws. I'm sorry. Turret's still very, very angry. They try to shoot some bullets at it, trying to kite through it. The APC, though, ends up getting disabled, or the turret lowered, not necessarily even disabled. They mag dump it, though. These turrets aren't super tanky, especially when you have the ability of like a high DPS weapon like a C20. They managed to get through it and deal with the lone turret in the vault. That turret definitely slowed them down, though. That's probably 30 or 40 seconds on the countdown to allow the crew to kind of recover, but the crew at this point is, like, the crew's in survival mode. The nuke's secondary at this point. Their station's already ruined. Now you're just kind of just blowing a hole in the ashes. But evac's coming, and it won't be arriving before the nuke goes off, so the crew is going to either have to fight or try to flee off the station if they want to survive. Some people that are armed immediately start running towards the vault, but everything's bolted, and can I just mention how good these sprites look in the darkness, especially zombified. Seeing those glowing eyes through the hard suit of a zombie group coming out through maintenance is terrifying. Just phenomenal sprite work and great ambience there. But in the worst possible timing, the zombies have showed up at the front of the bridge at the same time the crew has, because the nuke was armed. Everyone just kind of arrives at the same time. People have armor, attempting to get in there and stop it. Borg shot down to pieces, but these nukies have an incredibly tight area to hold. Bulldogs spraying through. Unfortunate crew members, body armor not enough to tank through that. One shot from a camera landing back into the elite suit, but that's just not going to be enough. They have not even touched their medical supplies other than a few burn wounds. Most of the crew is dying in medical, already zombified, irrecoverable. The zombies I've seen in maintenance are the first wave of security that have died, so the zombie ops obviously entirely and utterly successful. People showing up not even with guns in their hands, just trying to assess the situation if there's any real chance, but the zombies are still just not even dealt with. We have some people with lasers managing to down a few of the security zombies, so the crew might have extinguished a zombie event here. There's probably one or two strays running around in maintenance, but these security officers were definitely the biggest threat because of their armor. And they're literally just being punched to death, clawed to death after being down on the ground. Like, the weaponry has started to run out pretty drastically. The armory is in total darkness. Nukie's barely having to do anything to actually defend the nuke here, but they're making some escape routes, or at least some routes to kite out of. Otherwise, they actually didn't have anywhere to go now, but now they do. The AI, not much they can really do other than annoy them with bolted doors, but everything's already broken open. You see people trying to rescue some bodies, but I guess I was wrong with the zombie virus. There's more people getting zombified from something. Not entirely sure where that's at. It isn't right here. There's multiple bodies. Oh, is it medbay? Oh god, it is medbay. Well, I shouldn't have said anything about the zombie virus getting shut down. Medical is in utter shambles. Nukies basically didn't have to do anything beyond the Goliaths. Virus has spread pretty much to everyone. There's certainly, almost certainly, not going to be any real counterattack at this point. The zombies are taking over everything. If the constant sound effect of the dozens of corpses in this hallway getting infected wasn't a great indication, it's just... Do I even need to commentate? I think the sound effect of the zombie virus spreading through its this literal spectator screen has been a pretty clear indicator. The last living people are literally stuck in front of the bridge, surrounded by zombies on both sides. Zombies are now the ones pushing up to the front. There's actually some... Yeah, no, these are zombies. There's zombies attacking through space. Oh man. So we've reached a part of zombie ops where the zombies are so successful the nukies are now fending off their own zombies. The nukies now actually a benefit to Nanotress and it's going to end the zombie apocalypse they started. And the station suddenly grows very quiet after a long wind of fighting zombies. Timer has reached a point where no one can do anything about it. They are attempting to run away. The commander, it seems like Quebec has some qualms about leaving, but there is literally no chance it could be defused, but they didn't have major qualms about it. They start running the way they came in, through the meteor hole, blasted in the station. The commander is indeed infected, so I wonder how Syndicate High Command would feel about the commander being infected from their own virus. I'm sure they have, well, I mean, they literally supply Amazon Plus, so either way, without delving into lore that doesn't really exist, that was brutal. It turns out zombified Goliaths are really tanky and will use the entire station's ammo supply in seconds, and the sec fab ran out of power, and they couldn't make ammo, and there was no real time for them to actually drag the sec fab out to make more ammo. Very cool, very interesting round. Thank you for watching.